Yo.
Scared the fucking shit out of me, dude. It was like bum bum bum.
Oh, damn.
Bum, bum. You know,
Hell yeah.
song that-
I'm rolling, man. You want to do your fucking intro? This is episode 30.
This episode's what?
30, I think. I think this is episode 30.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh shit! 30!
That's kind of crazy. What a milestone.
Wow, so we're well on our way to 1,000, dude.
Wow, I can't wait. Wow. Okay, hold on one second. Here we go. Guys, whatever. Who gives a shit? I like these sort of nonchalant intros. This is the Mostly Sorry podcast. You know what the fuck it is. Here, friend, co-host, producer, pizza chef, weekend warrior, tennis player. This guy made a veggie lasagna the other day that looked incredible. I almost wanted to put on my cat burglar outfit, sneak into his house, and just steal the pan from the fridge that night. David Deary. David, how are you?
I'm chilling, son.
Chillin' son. And he's got the chillin' son sweater. What does it say, by the way?
It's a T-shirt.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. We went over this. All right. It's a long sleeve T-shirt. It's because I have a gray sweater on right now that looks similar. Chilling is my business, and business is good. Wow.
I think it's Zero Skateboards, and I think it's an album cover from, if I remember correctly, Dinosaur Jr.
Oh,
An old
tight.
Dinosaur Jr.
You know,
album.
I never really got into those guys, but I do. I've been watching those rig rundown like guitar things, and I love hearing Jay Mascis talk about his gear and stuff. It's I should listen to them. Why don't I listen to them? You know what? I'm gonna do that today. Yeah, throw on some Dinosaur Jr. Our past guest of the show, Rick Wood, loves them.
I love them too. They're great. I mean, I feel like when you're my age, you either had a Dinosaur Jr. phase or a Sonic Youth phase.
Yeah, if you're my age and from LA, you had a Black Flag phase, or you were into like Casualties maybe. Anyway,
if you're my age from LA, you probably had a Jane's Addiction phase.
I think also your age was definitely Black Flag, not a phase, but you were like living through
Yeah.
Black Flag, you know, that whole scene.
For sure.
Man, what a scene, dude. I've been reading Keith Morris's book. It's called My Damage. Keith Morris was the original singer for Black Flag, and then later on went to be in the Circle Jerks and his new band Off. And he's also in a new reiteration of Black Flag called Flag, which has Bill Stevenson, who was a drummer in Black Flag, now of the Descendants, Stephen Egerton, who is the guitar player for the Descendants, Chuck Dukowski, who was the bass player for Black Flag, and he's in a few other. I think his band was called Worm. They were sort of like a doom fucking type of band, and but they're really great. I got to see Flag. I don't know why I just started rattling off names. I got to see Flag at FYF a couple years ago, and it was awesome because Keith Morris is one of my favorite frontmen ever. Anyway, I don't realize how the fuck we got here. Oh yeah, Dinosaur Jr. Yeah, I watched this
You're
interview.
talking about my shirt. You
That's
complimented my shirt.
Yeah, and you should do that to your friends also. Compliment your friends. Let them know, you know, we were talking about giving people their roses while they're alive, and I'm trying to do that more often. I don't know if I've said this on the show yet, but my New Year's resolution was to not to stop saying like, not to sound sappy, and then like telling my friends something sappy, just saying it. Like, stop being afraid of your emotions when, you know, stop worrying about what people think of me when I tell them I love them. Just give them the compliment. Right. You don't have to go, not to be, you know, I know it's whack, but whatever. Just telling people. And I think
I got this shirt because when I worked at Pizzanista, a lot of skateboarders would come in, and it started with Guy Mariano and Eric Costin.
Dude, I found a Guy Mariano autograph that I had from years ago. I cleaned up my room like really well, and I sound like I'm 14. I kind of am mentally. and I found a Guy Mariano autograph. He is one of my all-time favorites. But go ahead. It started with Guy Mariano coming into Pizzanista. Then what
And
happened?
I was kind of, running the shop. When you're the pizza chef, you're in charge of everything. So I would always just, even if it was crowded, I would just kind of like yell out like, all right, everybody stop what you're doing and let's give it up for skate legend Guy Mariano. Get down here. You're not waiting in line. You don't, Eric Costin, you don't wait in line. You come right to the front. You get your props in this shop.
So basically,
Legend
embarrassing pros.
I mean, they weren't embarrassed.
I know. I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
It's cool.
They had,
I'd be embarrassed.
No, but
'cause
I
I'm a
mean,
nervous
maybe.
wreck.
I think some of the guys were a little bit embarrassed, but sometimes it wasn't crowded. I would do the same. I don't know, and I would just I hope my boss doesn't hear this, but I would just give him free pizza. I mean, what's the deal?
Fuck
you're not
it.
losing. You're not losing that much. I would.
Yeah. How much does a slice? I used
I don't
to do
know.
that.
It's kind of. Is that stealing?
Nah,
Is that
whatever.
stealing if you let someone in? If you're the door guy at the comedy club and you just let your friends in, if the management sees you, they probably get upset. I mean,
I think
their
there's a
job is to
gray
get upset.
area. That's a gray area,
And I definitely I would say didn't abuse it, but I definitely I thought it was fun to just give the legend status. So one time the Zero guys came in, they were at the barracks, and Jamie Thomas was there, and I gave him the legend status and gave those guys some free pizza, and they sent me a box of
That's
nice stuff.
fucking awesome,
with this,
man.
With this t-shirt.
Because I've heard Jamie Thomas was a pretty hard, let's say gruff sort of leader of the crew, like not in a bad way, but just very like almost reminds me of like an Ian MacKay sort of type of guy, like not businessy, but just sort of like believed in what he believed in, and kind of people, rather than bend around for other people, like people would just have to sort of listen to what Jamie said, kind of in a good way. I mean, it's obviously worked out for him,
Yeah, I think he is, from what I understand, that kind of dude where it's like, they're about their business, they're about skating and getting their tricks and doing their thing. And I did see, I think it was Josh Kalis was talking about him when they were skating a lot together, and Josh would be like smoking cigarettes and shit, and Jamie would be like, I don't know, I think it was kind of like, if you land the trick and don't smoke a cigarette, I'll give you $50 or I don't know, something about like,
hell yeah,
always trying to push the dude to not drink and smoke
for sure,
and skate instead, so.
Man, I think about that. Well, first of all, when I was a waiter at a place, Keith Morris used to come in for breakfast, and I never charged him for coffee. Like and I remember like texting my boss at the time, like, just so you know, I will never charge Keith Morris for coffee. Like, whatever. Like, if you have to fucking charge me, that's fine. Like, I think it was like.
That's what I would think, too. That's what I would think.
Yeah, I think it was
one time. Yeah.
Go ahead. I want to hear
Lottie,
this.
Brian Lottie came into the shop, and I had never met him or whatever, but I don't know if, a lot of people don't really know Brian Lottie, but he's like one of the most stylish skateboarders from the late 80s. And he is kind of like
he's an artist as well, right?
Yeah, he's an artist now. He's a painter now. Yeah, and he has his gallery downtown. So anyway, he came in, and I was like, "Wow, are you Brian Lottie? That's insane." And he was like, "Oh yeah, and this and that." And he picked up a pizza, but it was already paid for by his credit card. And I was like, "Oh man, you can't pay for a pizza, man. You're Brian Lottie." I mean, Brian Lottie, for example, he invented the big spin. That's what he's known for. But
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Also, an incredibly stylish skater. Before skaters were like, Matt Hensley era.
This is a crazy question. You might not know the specifics. Do you know what type of big spin he invented? Was it frontside, backside?
No, the backside big spin.
Fuck, that's a cool trick,
yeah.
Man. Damn.
And so to give him back his money, I had to void the order. And to void the order, you have to put the reason why you void the order. So in the reason, I just wrote Brian fucking Lottie. I mean, what the fuck?
That's nice. That's
you
awesome.
Fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? And I remember like some of the dudes who worked there were like, "What are you doing, man? Like Sal's gonna see that." And I'm like, "Dude, Sal knows that Brian Lottie invented the big spin. I mean, what's he gonna say?"
Sal would say like, "Your money's no good here, too."
I would hope so. You know what I mean? I would hope. And I get the idea of running a business. You want people to pay and you want people to support. But at the same time, if you're Yeah, you just have to be aware of. I mean, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, you
Yeah.
have to be aware of.
Man, I love that sort of
Paying
stuff. I've been thinking a lot about that. Is sort of legendary status that's still very underground, because that happens a lot in skateboarding, and also in punk music too. Like, there's a lot of people that really pave the way that are kind of like, you wouldn't think, but they're not living like high on the hog. They're not rich or anything like that. So you
I
try
mean,
to,
if they were around in the '90s, they definitely aren't rich. I mean, that's the thing. People weren't making that much money back then.
yeah, no, I know, and it's
Even if they were big, even if they were like big, because to get big, it wasn't necessarily in combination. You didn't have to. You didn't have to be making money to be well known,
for sure,
so to speak.
Yeah. There's but like we were saying, how hip hop and punk were kind of like, they're so important because of the low buy-in rate, where those cultures lend themselves to these people who are, I guess, even, I don't know what my thought was that I was saying, but I'm sort of like putting together a bunch of ideas, but I just like that underground sort of like fame. It's respect more than it is fame, which is fucking cool. And I've been thinking a lot about that, because maybe, in the past, where I've just thought about it, sometimes fame sort of scares me, and I like the idea of being respected and maybe not being famous, but a lot of the people that I respect that have that sort of legendary status are not financially stable. It's a hard thing to sort of like transfer respect into money. Some people have done it. I mean, Mark Gonzalez, and there have been some people that are business savvy that, some people don't want that.
I don't know if I would call Mark Gonzalez business savvy, to be honest with you.
I think what it was he was so I think there are those people that are also just, they get away with, not him, but some people get away with murder, and people will still keep throwing money at them because of their status sometimes. Right. You're so good that you're just always going to kind of have a fallback plan.
Well, I was just going to say, today on Instagram, I saw someone who posted an old note from back in the day, and I can't remember exactly who it was. It was somebody like connected to some company, like, some industry person who was working on something back in the day, and it was a note. It was a IOU from Mark Gonzalez, and it said, "I will pay back." It said, "I'm lending $4,000 to Mark Gonzalez. This is not a gift. This must be paid back, and I'm charging something like, I don't know. It was like a markup. I think 25% markup or something." And then it was signed by that person, and then Mark Gonzalez. And this was in 1993. So clearly, if Mark Gonzalez is borrowing $4,000 in 1993, maybe he's not the best businessman. I don't know. Maybe who knows? Who knows?
I'm just thinking of people like, now people that are now like sober and stuff, but like people like Ozzy Osbourne or Alice Cooper, like those people that were just living insane lives and still sort of had the backing of their labels, and they were still getting like money, and those things where you're so famous that you can do whatever you want, but you're still making so much money for the company that they almost have to like pay for your habit at a certain point. And it's sort of, it's destructive, obviously, but like Amy Winehouse and people like that were, you're just so famous that you could do whatever you want, and people are still, I think it's maybe less so now because people will straight up just get like canceled or whatever, but even then they can go to their fans and figure out a way to sustain themselves financially.
I think it's the same. I think it's the same. And someone like Ozzy was lucky. He could have been, he could have lost it. Probably did lose it. A lot
I'm
of times.
sure.
It's
Yeah,
probably
a personal
deeper
stuff,
story than Yeah. I'm sure there's more to it than meets the eye. It just looks a certain way, but And I'm sure lots of artists back then thought they could get away with shit and then got dropped by their label, dropped by their fans. Ozzy,
Axl Rose, I mean, has had.
yeah,
those
it's a
sort
good
of-
one.
yeah.
It's a good one. But, I mean, a lot of those guys are broke now. I wouldn't be surprised if Axl Rose is dead broke right now, because of spending habits, ego, thinking that you're going to, like, go on forever. And then the drop-off is so drastic from, doing tons of shit to doing no shit.
Yeah.
Is, when someone like Izzy in Guns N' Roses is probably, like, always been good with his money, probably went right from Guns N' Roses to working production jobs and in other bands and this and that and this and that, and he's probably loaded. He probably has, like, way more money than Axl Rose because of his work ethic and his trajectory and his understanding of his what he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck, I hope to I'm trying. The older I get, the more I'm realizing, like, the importance of that sort of stuff. And it's harder now, I think, in the world because not that I'm trying to do music or anything, but, like, the record industry is basically over. And
but the Patreon industry is huge, and the YouTube industry is big. It's bullshit. It's like there's way more money now than there's ever been in art. Way more.
Yeah.
Way, way, way more. I mean, look, a good-looking woman can go on Instagram and make money from a CBD company just by posting on Instagram. Like, and she's in control of that.
Yeah.
She gets all the money. She doesn't have to pay an agent. She doesn't have to pay a manager. She doesn't have to pay a PR,
I guess my point, I wasn't really talking about the business. I was talking about sort of being smart financially and stuff, which I haven't really been in the past because, like, they always say that people that never had any money, they're not very good when they get it, so, like, sort of, I don't know, just figuring out the smart decisions of where to put it, when you do have it, like, stuff like that. That stuff, I think, takes a rewiring of your brain almost, and cultural rewiring in a way. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, man. You think about it happens a lot in the art world. I mean, I don't think Basquiat was fucking, he was probably broke up until the end. And I mean broke, like, in the grand scheme of things. Sure, you have people giving you big sums of money at certain times, but then, do you blow it all? Where does it go? And
is it really that big in terms of, like, if it happens 3 times in your life, that doesn't really equal a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you get $100,000 for an art commission once a year, that's only $100,000 a year, which is just, like, a good job.
Yeah, especially,
and you can blow that so fast.
Yeah, New York, food, all that shit is like, it's it's wild.
I mean, money's interesting, but here's another thing that is also interesting, and that's the mind. That's the mind. You know what I mean? The mental state. So, how's your mental state, Joel? Let's take a second before we get carried away deep into this podcast.
Yeah, it's
real quick, bro. How's your mind? How's your mental state?
It's good. I've been thinking a lot about sort of when my mental state is good, how life can still be turbulent, and just because maybe I'm trying to live a better life, that my crank-like brain is still insane. Like, I've been doing pretty well lately, like eating good, exercising, not often, but I do this thing where I will burn myself out. Like, I'm like, all right, that's it. Like, this month I'm fucking running every single day. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So I'm trying to learn moderation, where, like, I'm trying to eat meat less and eating just sort of more fuel type of foods and not, like, empty bullshit. And but slowly, like, it's like, okay, I'll have wings, like, on a Friday night, but I'll air fry them or whatever. Like, just doing just moderately making better choices, and not drinking as much or whatever. Like, just slowly easing into a more positive lifestyle. And I've been sustaining it for a couple of weeks now, and my sleep has been better and things like that. So those things are going better. Has it sort of slowed down the way my mind works? No. I'm still like, it's a rat on a wheel, just constantly going. But because I'm living what I think is a more healthy, productive lifestyle as of recently, I've talked about this when I'm not doing well, I will wake up feeling like I have no armor, feeling very vulnerable. And that makes dealing with my thoughts a lot harder. Where now I'm sleeping well, things like that. I'm waking up kind of after my coffee, I'm feeling like I could take a little bit more. And so I think that the glass has been more half full lately. I'm waking up sort of ready, a little bit more ready for my days than not. So that's been good. And who knows, the shit I've just, and this is a scary thought for me, that life is, in the past I've gone, man, like, oh, it's just when it rains it pours, and life is, oh, it's all why me, and it seems like my friends are all doing well, and it's not. I mean, that's not true. They just maybe don't talk about it as much as I do. They keep it inside, or it's a private thing. It's like I'm realizing that life is just that. It's just a bunch of hurdles, and really, it's just how you deal with shit in between the hurdles that makes getting over those hurdles just not easier, but you maybe can handle those hurdles a little bit more rather than burning the fucking candle all the time. And then those hurdles, you start to really panic and worry as you approach those hurdles, because you're like, I'm not equipped for this. I'm not ready for this hurdle right now. Like, why now? Why me? Why now? It's like, so I'm trying to slowly figure out a more sustainable sort of healthy lifestyle. So that's my check-in for now. I think it's been good, man. This is, well, as we transition out of this, I went back to the studio on Monday. So after my singing debacle, I was like, okay, maybe I'll hit him up in a few weeks to go back in and do this, and I'll practice and this and that. Well, he hit me up like within a few days going, hey, can you come back this coming Monday to do it? And immediately I'm like, yeah, I'll be there. But I was scared a little bit. And I didn't really practice singing because I was afraid to do more damage to my throat. But I did watch a couple videos of how to sing properly. And one of the best ones I saw was this guy was talking about how, when your like body's sore, or like how old people, when they sit in a chair, how they go like, ugh. Like, he was like, that's basically your beginning spot for where to start when you're singing. Like it's, you feel it more in your stomach and your, like, here, and maybe a little bit up in your nasal, but you sort of bypass the throat. And so I was practicing that sort of in my car and stuff, just do it, literally going like, ugh, and like feeling that in my like diaphragm. And then my friend Ryan was saying, it's like when you pretend that you're pregnant when you're a kid, like sticking your stomach out and stuff like that. So I learned a bunch of things. I went into the studio and was able to kick out the last 4 songs without shredding my voice. And so, and of course with producer magic and stuff like that, punching in and piecing together stuff. And I got no shame in that. I don't give a fuck. I'm not like, I gotta do it in one take. That's it. I don't care. I'm not a fucking singer. I don't care. So we were able to, I think it was like from about 2 to 6. So 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6. So basically like an hour a song. With like a little bit of like a 10-minute to 15-minute break, and was able to finish up. So now the bulk of that stuff's done, and now all Chris has to do is do his guitars, and so he's doing his guitars at home, and we'll see when I get it, if I like it, if I don't. It's just an experiment, and I basically wrote 5 songs. So I wrote the lyrics, the guitar parts. I played guitar, I sang, I played drums, and had my friend Ryan and Chris play lead guitar, and Ryan played bass. And so it's mostly, I don't know, it's a fun project. So we'll see how it sounds once Chris is done with his guitars and we get some mixes in. but I'm excited that I finished it because I was a little worried when I blew my voice out. Also, when I was cleaning my room, so I was in a band called One Against One when I was 17, and we did an album, like 12-song album. I had written like 18 or something, and we ended up like chopping a bunch of the songs that just kind of weren't up to par, so it ended up being 12. But when I was cleaning my room, I found a bunch of the demos with like done to like a drum machine, and I found like the 18 songs, the demo versions, and that was kind of exciting. The CDs are all scratched, and I was like, please play, and they played. And so I kind of want to find somebody with a somewhere where I can digitally do this, so I can get them on a digital file and not have to worry about like this CD like deteriorating.
Just anybody with a laptop should be able to do it.
Yeah, so I gotta do that, and then another thing was, at a certain point we did these covers for this compilation. We did an SOA cover, which was Henry Rollins' first band, a Jerry's Kids cover, and then who was the other fucking band, man? Anyway, so there's these 3 covers, and I found a CD with the covers on it. I don't even know if it's mixed or anything, but it's good enough for me to have a little bit of nostalgia, and I liked it. So I found that too. So I'm sort of in the process of getting, maybe Van can do it, or one of my friends with a computer, to digitize them so they're not lost forever, because I would love to put that out at some point, just for fun, just so people can hear it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That sounds fun. I mean, you're talking about the band that does the theme song to your podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So little backstory is like that record was done just me and my friend Doug in his house. He played guitar and bass. He like hired a drummer friend of his to play drums, and I sang and wrote the lyrics. And
you didn't play drums yet by then?
No, I did, but at that time, we wanted to do it right. I hadn't really played. I don't remember really. I think he wanted somebody who was like professional to come in and just kick out these 18 songs to a click, and he wanted me to sort of focus on the lyric writing and the singing aspect, So we hired this guy. I think his name was Tom Braden. I think he was in the Dwarves. But Doug was also in the Descendants and stuff, which at a certain point I really, that's like a dream guest of mine to get on this show, just because it's such a blast from the past for me, and it's kind of an emotional thing because of the impact that he had on me. So I drafted a fucking email, Instagram message. I just haven't sent it yet because it's kind of emotionally loaded for me a little bit, but I'm sure he'd fucking do it.
Yeah, the problem with the Instagram
unless he's so
messages
busy,
what if he doesn't see it? Not everyone looks at their DMs, and then you're going to be like, "Oh, he hates me."
No. If he couldn't do it, it's purely because he's such a busy guy. Like, and he does a lot of things, man. Like, he's producing records. He for a while he was doing music for like TV shows and video games and stuff. So it would purely be like I just can't fit this in. Plus the pandemic, he's got children and a wife and stuff to think about. So it would definitely probably happen down the line, if not now. But and whatever. And if not, I completely understand. He's a great dude. It's not like any sort of diss. But yeah. So I gotta get on that soon, because I would really enjoy. The other thing is, I get nervous because with someone like him, I'd really want to do research and sit down. So part of me is almost like doesn't want to send it because I know then the work begins. But that's okay because he's someone I really admire, and I think that the work would almost not even feel like work because it would be fun because I'm into all that shit. So anyway, I don't know, but so we did that record. I basically, the way I remember it, he was painting the fence around his house, and he had me sort of help him paint his fence, like as a thank you for doing the record for me, and didn't have me do it. Asked me if I'd be interested. I'm like, fuck yeah! Like, I remember just playing Dead Kennedys all the time. I think we played like Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables, or one of those records like all the time while we're just painting this fence, and it's just kicking knowledge down to me and all these like stories of growing up in the South Bay and stuff like that, which I was eating up because that is my shit, man. I was really into those bands. I felt more. Anyway, let me finish this about the covers real quick, and then I'll get into that. I want to talk about the South Bay a little bit. But so then once we did the record, he was like, here, like, take this, take 3 songs from this, go find people in your high school that you're friends with, because I was friends with a bunch of musicians who you'd want or who can learn by ear, and recruit a band basically and get this band together. And so I did that, and we started the band. They learned the songs, and then once we were a band now, he got this thing to do these songs for this compilation, and then we brought the band that we had formed in as One Against One to do these covers. So these covers are the band of people that I found from high school, not the Doug and the hired drummer, but sort of us as a band. So it was interesting. We did backing vocals and everything, and it's just a fun listen to. When I listened to it, I was like, wow, like this, it just took me back, man. And
why did that band break up? What happened?
Honestly, I think we were teenagers, and a lot of it was my sort of self-sabotaging, just teenage ways of like, I got the opportunity to, we played this show, and it was like, rather than like being inside the venue watching all the bands who were like giving us shout outs and probably would have been our core group of bands that we ended up playing shows with and stuff, we were outside like smoking weed and sort of like just being dumb children, and maybe drinking beers out by the truck because we were too young to be drinking inside the club or whatever, who knows. And then also just I was sort of in, I think now I look back, I was kind of in a codependent relationship at the time, and maybe like when we got deals to go do these shows, I would rather just be in that thing than I don't want to leave home and like do this. What about my girlfriend at the time or whatever. And it's like now I look back and it's like I had an opportunity to play Gilman Street, famous Gilman Street in San Francisco, and all we had to do was get a car and all roll up there together and play this legendary fucking club. But I didn't do it because I was just whatever, lazy, or I just fucking in a thing, just self-sabotage sort of shit. And so that, and then, our drummer was, whatever, I could point fingers at a myriad of reasons, but really it was that I was maybe just, not professional enough. I was self-sabotaging, and I was a teenager, and I just sort of like let it sort of die in a way. Like our drummer quit or something, and then I just didn't find another one. We were on the hunt for a while. I didn't stick with it. I wasn't business savvy enough. Not even that. That all that stuff's excuses. Really, I just didn't go after it because I think I was just a dumb teenager and maybe didn't really realize what I had in my hands. And years later, I talked to Doug, and he's like, that's okay. I was like, I'm thinking of starting the band again. And he was like, well, that's cool. He's like, we did that record, and that for me was like giving you this, I'll use the word business, to pick up, and wherever you're at in your life, you have these songs, you can start a band again and do these things, and so I haven't really thought about it, but maybe if this record is fun and stuff, maybe, and we start playing when the pandemic's over, we'll incorporate some of these songs and stuff again. But I look back and I'm like, fuck, like I fucked up, but that doesn't mean that I can't ever start again. So I don't want to hold that opportunity missed as a teenager as a like, well, there went my boat. It's like, well, you can always, it's like the past is the past. Like, what the fuck are you gonna do now? So now it's like now I want to push forward in a positive manner, and I think I've learned a lot between 17 and 34. That was almost half my life. It was half my life ago, and I don't know. So there's that. Sorry, I just got a text from Jeremiah Watkins. Shout out to that guy. But yeah, so I part of the reason I want to interview him is because I want to. Part of me wants to ask him like, what things he remembers about me as at that age, because I'm such a different person, I feel like. And I almost feel like he knew a very dramatic sort of I don't know, just dramatic teenage Joel. And I just want to, part of me's kind of curious about like what he remembers me being like. But I don't know. But anyway, so it's so hard because like now these new podcasts that we're doing, I'm putting my phone down where I can't see you, so sometimes I don't know if you're like listening or if you've like fallen asleep or what, because I'm just looking at the camera. So I'm just quick checking, David. How are you?
That's good. I mean, yeah, everything's cool, man. Like you're not, you should go in the camera. There's a lot more people out there than over
sure.
here.
No, I know.
It's good though, man. It's no, look into the camera. That's where the people. I don't count. Just go out there.
So I've been thinking a lot about him lately, and also just sort of I've been
Wait,
reading
who?
that. My buddy Doug, the guy who like did the record for me.
Oh,
and
I don't
stuff,
know. I've
and-
been asleep for the last 25 minutes.
Oh, you son of a bitch! That'd be really funny.
Got
though.
him.
It'd be funny if like
Zing.
you.
I'll
had,
put a
like,
picture of me in there, just like
or like
just kicked back sleeping.
you know how people put like paint like eyelids, like eyes on their eyelids when they're sleeping, so it looks like they're awake. That's like I love that.
By the way,
trick.
don't forget what you're about to say about the South.
Yeah,
The South Bay or whatever.
South Bay. Yeah, so I want to. Yeah.
But wait, let me just say this. There was a guy, I saw this YouTube video of this engineer guy who created a video algorithm for his Zoom meetings at work where he could just post this like weird, just basically video answers. So whenever someone would talk to him, it was just a video of him. He wouldn't have to be on the meetings.
Wow.
And someone would say something and he had this thing that could reply with video that he had pre-recorded. And he did it for like 3 or 4 meetings, and it was part of like what he was actually working on with his it was like he worked in like a technology company. So he went back in the 5th meeting and he's like, I have a confession to make. I haven't been in any of the last 4 meetings, so I set loose this like algorithm that just basically responds with video, and people were like, wait, what? And he goes, yeah, I'll put it on now, and then it basically it would say stuff and then be like, wait, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Could you repeat it? Like my camera went out or whatever, and like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. And then and so that's pretty sick. I have to get one of those for the podcast.
What's interesting is because you can record Zoom meetings, he could have just recorded it and sort of like watched it at his own leisure later on and still learned all the knowledge of the shit they were talking about.
Yeah, he could have done that. Or his whole point was that I think he even watched the meetings, to be honest with you, to make sure that the robot was working. I can't really remember.
That's
I think he was
funny, man.
I think he was like actually watching it just to make sure that it didn't fuck up. But the point being it didn't fuck up, and he did it for like 4 different meetings. And
man.
And obviously the meetings aren't engaging. It's not like they're not asking a lot of questions. It's just more like that the boss can see you on there. Briefings, yeah.
Yeah. Damn, that's fucking awesome.
But,
That's a dream, like high school dream. I was thinking about this.
That is a high school dream.
Yesterday. Like, I hated high school like so much. Like, when people are like, nowadays when people are like, we need to get our kids back to school. Like they're missing out on that important like aspect of school. I'm like, dude. What the who are these people? When I was in high school, I was just scared. I was just scared all the time, depressed, and just worried. And I hate that whole these are people that peaked in high school and that's it. They're like, oh, high school is the best years of your life and this and that. It's like so I was thinking like if I could Zoom high school, maybe I would have never dropped out because I could have just I wouldn't have had to worry about ducking people that wanted to beat me up or stuff like that, or the guy that sat behind me in English class just punching me on the back the whole class and me just sitting there having to take it. Maybe if I Zoomed, maybe I would.
Getting thrown in a locker. You ever get thrown in a locker?
Nah, our lockers were half size. But yeah, it's just like weird. Like we got to get our kids back to school, man. They're missing out. They need to have that environment where they're around. Like, and I get it, but also like, who gives a shit? Like it's
I really don't get it.
It's
I don't.
overrated,
I don't
man.
get it. It's horribly overrated, and it's an insanely unfunctioning.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't function very well.
Yeah,
it's like it really doesn't teach kids much except how to take orders in a group function.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Which is ironic. It's like, oh, it's almost like how to go to work. Here's how you go to work. You're not popular. You get treated like shit. But you still have to go there at 8 a.m. every morning, and you got to go Monday through Friday. And then when you get the weekends, you can party, and at night you can do your little social activities. And it's like,
what sucks
yeah,
is,
we learned that in high school.
Yeah, what sucks is that, like, you know, I sort of, when I was in high school, I kind of looked forward to college because I had gone a little bit to like for summer school or to do like to make up credits or something like that to college classes. But like at LACC, they'll let you do that, and I was like, oh, this is like so much better. Like, you know, you don't have to like fucking raise your hand like to go to the bathroom. Like it's on you if you whatever. It seemed. And the thing that sucked was by the time it was probably my time to go to college, I had just had enough of the school system, and I was like, fuck this. And to this day, I absolutely hate school. I guess I'd want my kids to probably go, but I think at that point they'll probably go just to rebel against my dumbass. Like, you know, everything that I did, they'll probably do the opposite. But yeah, just school fucking sucked, and I don't know why I brought the Zoom thing. We were talking about the Zoom thing.
Did you go to college?
I didn't know. I dropped out of high school in like.
Well, you can still go to college.
No, because I never I never got my GED, and I never. I just the thought of opening the book and like taking the test on like fucking division and fractions and like shit like that. I'm just like, I don't know. I'd much rather work harder at things that I want to do than to do all that. I think it's great. Like people that do it, that's fine. They're, you know, I don't know. There's a disconnect. I was telling my girlfriend last night that paperwork to me, like just paperwork, it drives me nuts. I've said it before on the show. It's like if somebody said, "Hey, Joel, would you rather we're going to pull your wisdom tooth right now or you have to do this paperwork?" I'd say strap me up and fucking take out the teeth. I'm almost positive someone might call my bluff and I'd be like, "No, I'll fill out this thing." But I feel like I would be like, "Yeah, sure, let's get the tooth out." Like because there is a 1 + 2 = 3 thing to me there where it's like you lay down, we're going to pull your tooth. It's going to suck, but then it's over. Where there's some weird brain thing where paperwork, it seems like, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's a learning disability that I was never diagnosed with or like things like that. I look at it and the shit on the page just starts to move like fucking Beautiful Mind style, but not Beautiful Mind, more like Ugly Mind style, where I'm just like, it starts to affect my physical being, where my body gets like real. It's a different sort of fear, and it's so dumb. I realize there are people dying for food in the world, and I'm here bitching about paperwork. Anyway, moving on. But I've been reading this Keith Morris book. I'm really into things I'm into like that. Like I can read this book and I research like the shit that I like bam, boom, the South Bay. Oh, all right, let's look into the history of this stuff. But so I'm reading Keith Morris's book. It's called My Damage. Damage was a Black Flag song. And he used to come into this cafe that I worked in all the time, and I just happened to have the book in my backpack, and my boss kind of knew him from there, and he's like, "We're gonna get this book signed," and I was like, "Oh, I don't want to bug him. He's eating," and he's like, "No, I know him. He's cool." And he signed the book. He wrote like Joel ! These are all lies or something like that, like in the book. And so now I have this cool autographed copy from Keith Morris, and I've been reading it, and it's about him growing up in the South Bay, him starting being the singer in the first version of Black Flag, which to me was like one of the greatest. But just also LA history and stuff like that. Like I love it, man. He's talking about going to Hollywood, and he was recently kind of talking about how the cops were just going ham, dude. Like just they would come to these punk gigs and just start cracking heads and just ask questions later, but they never got around to asking the questions. And just, you know, it's just that stuff's been going on forever, and just kind of it's just been fun to read about LA history, and the South Bay. So like all my favorite bands when I was a kid came from there, and when I was in middle school, I remember going into the 8th grade, and of course Black Flag has always been sort of like revered by everyone, and I always looked at it in sort of street punk style, and then like the beach punk style, or like the skate punk style, which I always gravitated way more to because I was a skateboarder, and the street punk stuff I've never really had. I did for a little bit, I had spikes and a mohawk, and I tried to do the whole thing. I was always really uncomfortable in the clothing, like 2 belts, like the tight pants in California. Like it's hot, like my balls were always itchy, and like I had like acne as a teen, so like putting gel in my hair to spike everything, I would sweat and then just break out. It was like I didn't understand how they putting like leopard patches in the crotch area of their pants when they ripped. It seemed like a big commitment. Who
were some of the street punk bands versus some of the skate punk bands?
So that's the thing. I know the names, and a lot of them co-mingle, and they're great bands too. But like, I remember people liking, like, I would say the gods of this LA street punk scene were the Casualties, and really fun fucking show. But like, I just never it wasn't my style. It was like like leather jacket, which I want one, by the way, and I'm gonna get one soon. Shout out to my buddy Eddie Haley from Chicago. He's gonna get me a fucking leather jacket anyway. But so and I'm super thankful for that. But the Casualties, I would say, like The Virus, Lower Class Brats. I'm just thinking of like patches I saw on people's like pants.
And who were some of the skate
all right,
bands?
This is my shit. I mean, Black Flag, top fucking Hermosa Beach like band. Great. And fuck, I want to get into that too, man. Okay, so I'll name them first, and then we'll get into the minutia. Black Flag, Descendants, Pennywise. 3 of like the most influential fucking bands to me. Bad Religion, I would even consider. The Offspring, Social Distortion, which was Orange County. I mean, you start to get into the Orange County scene, the Adolescents. Their song was in Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Amoeba. And it's like, who else? Let me see. God damn it. I'm like,
Suicidal Tendencies.
Yeah, Suicidal Tendency. That's a more like, Venice band, DI, Agent
DI,
Orange, and of course I'm blanking because I'm thinking Circle Jerks, man.
I was gonna say the Circle Jerks, but I didn't know they were also kind of street punk as well, though, right?
No, not really.
No?
I mean, they came from that Hermosa Beach sort of Orange County meeting of the minds. I think Greg Hetson was from, fuck, man, I want to say like Hawthorne or something like that. So there is something about that place that created this like thing, and what I think it is, and I think people have probably talked about this in the past. It's like, I think what it was is these beach towns were, LA County beach towns, where they called it like debris meets the sea. It's like they were sort of art. Some of them were artists, sort of hippie places, and there's a lot of jazz history in Hermosa as well. Like the Lighthouse there. Like I think Chet Baker played there, and anyway, but. And then you have Venice, which was like, kind of like cholo culture, shit like that and stuff like that. But what happens is these multi-million-dollar, these people start building these homes and stuff, and then rich people move in, and then the people that are from there can no longer afford to live there. And this band were called Peace, which was also from Hermosa, had a song called Yuppie Ghetto, which was, my hometown has become a yuppie ghetto. It's like basically... it's gentrification, and so what happens is you get this like pushback, and these kids start sort of rebelling, and becomes this scene, and start making really rebellious, like kick-ass fucking music, and or whatever, the cops or even just rebelling against the way that things have been in a small town like this for so long, and just trying something new. I think it just. I think about places like Salt Lake City and just really sort of Bible Belt places. I feel like the rebellion comes extra hard, and fucking, and just the scientific experiment, the fucking what would you call it? Like the petri dish is just perfect for this explosion of like aggressive shit. And so yeah, those bands really spoke to me because I just felt like I had more in common with that sort of everyday life than I did with some of the like the street punk shit. Like I dug it, I liked it, but I wasn't where I feel like where I was from, maybe just not even where I was from, but the way I was living in my room and my skate friends and stuff was more I could understand that stuff more, anxiety or like dealing with girls and things like that. It wasn't like maybe what I think like the South Central or the Boyle Heights scene or like things like that were more I don't know, it's just a different scene. It's hard to explain. There's a documentary called Los Punks that really gets into the LA sort of backyard scene that I always wanted to sort of like be between tribes and be a part of like everything. And I was smoking weed with fucking cholos and with the stoner kids, and then I was also playing drums in fucking like rap metal bands and fucking skate punk bands, and then also like singing for my friends at their house who were doing like a Global Threat covers. And I don't know, I wanted to be like an amalgamation of everything, and I think to this day, like my sort of personality and lifestyle is that it's like taking like, oh, I like this, I like that, like I'm gonna put them all together into like who I am. And yeah, I don't know, but I've gone off on what the fuck I was talking about. But so my point being, like, all those bands were great, but there was just something about, I remember, I don't know, man. I like the Dead Kennedys, and I like those bands that weren't necessary. I guess what it was these bands that I kind of was into were just, they didn't seem to adhere to what had became is the word codified or codified as like the punk music as a genre. Like they were a little bit different. You hear the Dead Kennedys, they're not like exactly what you would think of as like 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, which is great too, but they were just a little bit different. And I still remember like where I was the first time I heard California Uber Alice. I was like, what the fuck is that? But then yeah, I like all that. I think I like it all. It's all good. It's all a positive movement, I think. And I've been really obsessed again lately with, because of YouTube and all those things, I can go back and view all these old videos and been watching just stuff on YouTube where people are going through Hermosa, sort of like looking at the history of it and stuff like that. And I've mentioned it on this show before that when I was 17 too, I got to play there and open for this band that I really loved. And I was like, I felt like I had peaked. I was like, well, I achieved my dream. And, I had small dreams at that age. I didn't really realize like what was possible. And honestly, at that point in my life, I didn't think that I was just I didn't really think too much about the future, man. And now I am a little bit, but I'm also within this past month after my 34th birthday, I think I really started thinking of living just day by day and not living for today, where it's like, let me go nuts and fuck it, I'm just like no future sort of thing, but like living just day by day where let me get through this day and have a good day and just doing that. And it's been really helpful for my mental state, not looking at the huge wall of life and just sort of brick by brick. And I think going back into these old punk things are really sort of motivating me with that. I still keep that DIY sort of like punk ethos in my life, and that also goes all back to that, the stuff I learned as a teenager, and sort of using that now to live a happy, healthy life. And it's weird that now that I'm 34, like to me, like punk is like eating good and like sleeping and stuff like that, because destroying yourself is not punk to me. It's like, it's almost like fighting against the status quo still, where, even to this day, like even if I am drinking or eating meat or whatever, like I still see through the bullshit of advertising. Like I'll see, or reality TV. Like I watch these shows where these people are just like constantly drunk, and I'm like, damn, like or alcohol ads where it's like it's just forced down our throats so much, like as a society, that like even if I go through my phases where I'm like, okay, now I'm drinking, now I'm not, or now I'm eating meat, now I'm not, or now I'm whatever, I'm burning it, or I'm partying, or I'm not. But even when I'm in that state, I'm honest enough with myself where I can look at those things and go like, okay, that's I can see. And I've said this a billion, and at some point I'm going to stop saying that I've said this a billion times. I'm just going to say it. But they live, like the they live thing, like even if I know that I'm doing all those like sort of quote unquote destructive things, I can still see and be honest with myself and be like, all right, like I know this is bad, I'm still going to do it. Like I'm in my older age, I've stopped. I'm no longer lying to myself and going like, yeah, this is cool, right? Like I'm like, no, I know this is bad, I'm gonna do it anyway. I do that sometimes with NyQuil. Like when I can't sleep, I'll take NyQuil, and I'm like, I really shouldn't. I should be hiking and making myself tired, not relying on NyQuil to go to sleep. But I'm doing it, and I know it's bad, and I'll still do it.
It does taste delicious, though, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it is. I do like it. You know when NyQuil or DayQuil tastes the best is when you're legitimately sick and your fucking chest hurts and you get that cooling like menthol-y thing. You're like, oh, this is the best.
What's your favorite flavor? What's your favorite flavor?
Well, I always just buy the CVS brand of whatever they have. That's the DayQuil or the NyQuil.
Well, what color? They got don't they have like the
orange?
They have the red.
Yeah, orange and red usually, and then I get what I should be doing is I should get a bottle of ZQuil because it doesn't have the acetaminophen that's really bad for your liver in there. But also that I shouldn't be having more than a couple, like when it's really bad. I should. This is my next sort of phase.
What you should do is meditate and then just get a good sleep pattern. Works for me.
Yeah, you're right. No, I've had a good sleep pattern lately. But yeah, some of it's definitely been chemically induced. What I want to do is go.
Dude, I have a great sleep pattern. I drink a bottle of whiskey and just pass out every night. It's
not
amazing.
not alcohol, but definitely NyQuil.
Right.
But
Yeah.
what I should do is no coffee after like noon. And then go for a hike like 3 times a week, and like a nice hike that's not too insane where I'm gonna burn myself out and not work out, but enough to get just a little bit tired when I go to bed. Be like, oh, I'm tired tonight, So
Yeah.
that's my next sort of phase. I think what's today? We're recording this on a Thursday. I think maybe starting Monday or maybe this weekend, I'm gonna get a schedule going for 3 times a week hike. I found a really good spot at Griffith. I used to do this one, but now I'm taking the back way, and I kind of like it because it's just challenging enough where you start to sweat, but it's nice. I like going with my girlfriend or something so we can talk, and it feels like exercise in disguise, so I like that. But we're wrapping up here, 58 minutes in, and a couple recommendations. I would say go learn about the South Bay and Hermosa Beach specifically's impact on punk rock music. Go listen to Black Flag, go listen to the Descendants. Real quick, there was a band called The Last, the Nolti Brothers that they're not really a punk band per se. They're kind of like the Beach Boys, but apparently the people that knew them back in the day, they approached everything with sort of a punk ethic, and they inspired the Descendants and Black Flag and Keith Morris, and were a big influence on a lot of those bands. The Last, She Don't Know Why I'm Here is a great song, and check them out. Listen to Everything Went Black and The First 4 Years and the Nervous Breakdown EP. I think when people hear Black Flag, they think about Rollins immediately, and I've grown to appreciate that stuff. But when I think of Black Flag, my Black Flag is everything pre-Rollins, I think. But he did a lot of great stuff with them, and I'm not discrediting that stuff, but it was definitely a different animal at that point. What what else did I do? I read a Stephen King book called If It Bleeds, which was a collection of 4 short stories, which I really liked. And then that led me to the TV series Mr. Mercedes, which I finished 2 seasons of, which was based off one of his a series of books that he did. So that was good. My Damage has been great so far. So if you're into the Circle Jerks or Keith Morris in general, check that out. Check out that's it. Oh, a couple like East LA this band called The Brat. They were from East LA. They're really great. But yeah, I don't know. Get into it. Learn all that shit. If you're from somewhere else, get into it. If you're from LA and you love those bands, I encourage you to get deeper into where all that stuff comes from. David, you got any recommendations?
Guy Mariano Mouse Part is always always a hit.
I like
in my
that.
book.
Yeah.
And check out 17th and Cat podcast. That's
I agree, man. I listened.
underground.
I really love it, man. I think I think you kind of hit your niche with that, and I think you're doing a great job. It's like I don't know. I'm biased because you're my friend, and also all that stuff is very relatable because it's sort of the stuff I'm into. But even if you're not and you're sort of just interested, I think give it a listen. I think you'll like it. You've had some really great guests recently: Jeremy Fish, RJD2.
Yep.
So big things coming for that.
Theo Hand. Yeah, I got big things coming for that. So that's great. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, check out 17th and Cap. And thank you to the Patreon subscribers. Shout out to Hot Bob Hot Sauce, Tie Dye Company, Addicted to Chaos, Luca Clothing. And that's it. Take care of yourselves, love each other, and be creative. And until next week, we'll sign you off with what we do every week. Peace, you filthy animals.
Gunshots on a gun, underwater bait. Guilt trip,